Welcome to another episode of This Week in Astro, a weekend in the 29th of May, right? As always, you can keep up to date with Astro and all of its developments by following along with the GitHub repository, just by going to github.com/with Astro. Look at the main branch of Astro and see how things were over the week. And just to note that there has been 3 additional contributors to add into the Astro core as well and its integrations over the past week, which has been absolutely lovely. All in all, 3,000 additions been added to the main branch, 41 commits to the main, 8 commits made overall to all other branches, closing about 19 issues and merging 25 PRs. Now, the first patch of the week was a biggie. The relative inline scripts on Windows. This was a wee bug that was kept coming up where on Windows a file URL had to be absolute. This is no longer the case, and Matt did spend some time to get that fixed, so thank you very much, Matt. The ability for us to now pass through our custom Vite log levels. Tony's came up and fixed the hydration scripts that were used on custom 4 pages. Next up was Ben finding a fix to load the external style sheets that were coming in from npm packages. Now, Nate's had a busy fortnight, really. What was happening within your div tag when you were trying to spread in your astro.props? What would tend to happen is that would emit duplicate class attributes. The solution that he came up with was to update the compiler logic for injecting the class with whenever there was a spread attribute found. Next up, there was a big issue, right, with a deduplicating issue, more or less, with hoisted scripts. There was major improvements to the markdown component story in Astro. This closed about 6 unique bugs. To take a wee deeper look into how Ben handled the CSS style sheet imports, you need to add the package to the Vite SSR no external array within the Astro config. Please note that this is a Vite specific. It does not relate to Astro's actual SSR procedure. It's just really unfortunate that there has to be a name clash here. But nonetheless, if you are to add external style sheets, right, that are not using a predefined file extension, you would have to define it within the Vite. Now, with 35, there was some more fixes to the way Vite and Astro handle the CSS. This particular release fixes a long-standing bug where you are using CSS URL and the asset itself was being replaced by a string that was saying Vite understroke asset. We're now able to hand off the CSS bundling and updating directly to the Vite build hook. What happens now is that manual chunks are created from the CSS file when it finds its parent and creates a hash from that. So if there were CSS shared on multiple pages, it would just be combined into a single shareable chunk of CSS from now on. Now, we're just going to quickly explain what's happening, right, from Matt himself, because here Matt gives us an example where the bug would often be found appearing. Here we're taking a font from an external npm package and referencing it within the font face rule set. This fix basically, like Matt says, right, opens the door for all of us astronauts to use npm packages with fonts and other assets freely within our projects. So again, huge thank you, Matt, for doing this, man. This is awesome. Next up, we have a couple of cool little things, guys. Like, seriously, this is amazing, this particular release. We basically have the ability, again, to get both the raw markdown minus the front matter from the files using the new improved raw content helper method. Yes, and then also the parse Astro syntax, which is the complementary compiled content method. But yeah, a wee bit more about that. Let's just take a look. So yes, so happy it's back. Straight out of the docs, this is a wee demo by Ben showing how we could go about calculating the post reading time using a wee package just to calculate just that, right? So by giving it the string of markdown that we're getting from the astro.glob, so astro.glob basically brings us a big array of Astro, of files, or markdown files from a particular directory that we are asking it to look through. From this, we're just going to be mapping over it and creating a little small fragment to give us the title and a wee snippet of reading time, a wee text fragment, right? By passing in the post.raw content, the helper method that is attached to the markdown file, and passing that into the reading time function, and then getting the text from that, Bob's your uncle, you're away. So Brycey, if you're paying attention, your favourite function is now back, dude. Right? This is now compile content. This used to be your source.html. This is now compiled content, the helper function that is. This is an asynchronous function that returns the raw content, parsed to a valid into valid Astro syntax. Note this does not parse JSX expressions. So your components or your layouts only stand in markdown blocks, like headings and lists would be parsed into HTML. This is useful when you're saying rendering a summary block for a blog post, like the example that we have here. We're just basically taking the first paragraph of the markdown and pre-appending that into a fragment where we're just going to possibly have like an image on top of it, the cover image that we could grab. So again, we're just taking the glob, but we're introducing this importer method, which is the node HTML parser. Now that basically takes the output that we get, right, from the actual content, the actual helper method, where we are awaiting the post dot compile content, because like it says, it is an async function. So once we get that, we're just going to parse it, and we're just going to get the first paragraph, and then we're just going to run that in and put the text in. Happy days. Now, like I said, Ben has updated the documentation, so by all means do go out and check out the Markdown page on the Astro Doc site to find out more information about this, guys. But yes, it is back, and we are super, super happy. Woohoo! More confetti! Fair, I try editing that one out. Next up, we're taking a look at changes made to the official Astro integrations. First up is, like we were talking about, was the improvements that got made to the Markdown and components usage in Astro. The whole thing has got significantly better, guys. There were some outstanding issues when it came to using components in Markdown with Astro. This is because Astro has its own implementation of what everyone currently associates it as to be MDX format, utilizing JSX within Markdown. It's it's a format that is widely used within the industry, and Astro has its own implementation because it runs its own compiler. It owns its own design language. Here we're basically seeing better JSX expression handling within the actual Markdown files. It adds better support for headers which contain JSX expressions. All components inside Markdown now have the correct crop serialization, letting you pass through all manner of accepted props into the components, including arrays. It also, Chris, you'll be happy to hear, removes the need for new lines wrapping around components in Markdown. So it removes the paragraph hack that you had to wrap around components. So that is no longer the case, guys. That hack is gone. The only addendum to call out here is that shorthand attributes are not supported at the current moment. Summary: component story in Markdown has just got significantly better. The story is more aligned to that of MDX. Next up, we have this is something that underpins a lot of the client side JavaScript bit that we're using when it comes to Astro. This basically helps, polyfill a lot of things in the background. Here we're seeing node fetch being moved in as an external dependency into this particular package. Now we're coming on to my favourite part. I just want to talk about some contributions that were made to core by astronauts in the community. So within the integrations API, there's several hooks that you could tap into Astro. Now this is the hook that taps into the build process once it's done. Here he's given us the directory URL, or the URL to the build output directory, giving us ease of access to access the generated routes and the assets that may want to modify or even just be made aware of. Now, Muhymin is currently working on Astro's PWA, the Progressive Web App Experience. He is a Vite enthusiast, and it's really great to see his energy and effort being put into Astro. So we really do appreciate it, dude. Thank you very much. Cal has came in. This time he's came in to help with a party town script. Just by letting it have access to the Astro base config options, there are talented astronauts, and you guys can also debug and fix these problems themselves and contribute. And this is great. So thank you very much, dude. I really do appreciate it, man. This one here is from our little brother retronav. Here he's basically fixing a small issue when it came to the GitHub issues, and it just basically makes it a tiny bit easier for us, dude. So thank you very much, little brother. We really do appreciate that one. Let us take joy and reap bounty over the Astro language tools with Astro/language tools. Let's just go through what Erica gave us this week. Here there were a number of things. Better support all around the table. We have better support for showing svelte components and svelte components documentation when hovering over them. Support for linked editing. This is when you're renaming the opening tag, the opening part of the tag, and now the ending would also be changed too as well. So not only do you have to change both, but this is done automatically for you. Brilliant automagicry there, Erica. Really appreciate it. Um, to enable this, you could just go into your VS Code extension and just enable the editor linked setting to true. Not only that, there's improved syntax highlighting. This is fantastic. There's support added for highlighting for content that's added within Israel, along with um, added support for JSON script tags, and a whole lot more of subtle improvements to the highlighting experience just generally throughout the extension and all the files that it touches. Improvements also made to the auto indenting of the syntax, so it's more similar to the way that it's indented on HTML and JSX, along with auto closing. Improvements to the word detection in files itself, so that's gotten a lot better. Um, Disabling the front formatting of the indents in front matter. This can be turned back on using the astro.format.indenting, indent front matter setting, right? This scene down here, guys, right? Um, Again, you could toggle these by just going into your VS Code extensions and then just going into the JSON file itself and just adding these directly, right? And they're boolean, so true or false. Okay. Along with along with all of that, there's also been a huge swath of syntax changes this week. Um, Towards the end of the week, she released a minor update to the VS Code extension to help give better error messages when there was invalid spell or view components being surfaced. Along with that, not only that, better support for view components, generally speaking, when it uses using the props defined in the options in their options API. Generally speaking, we have been in a pure bounty over the last 3 months. The developer experience since Erica has joined has been day and night, right? And that's just our fair maidens taking some time away for the next couple of weeks for personal reasons. So leaving us in the gentle hands of Matthew for the next few weeks while she's away. Matt is the man guarding the castle at the present moment. So Erica, just want to say we wish you all the best with your time off. Know the next few weeks aren't going to be quite the same. So please do take good care of yourself, buddy. And remember, may the force be with you always. Now we're going to take a look at the Astro docs. They say in space they can't hear you scream, but Jesus Christ, you can sure hear these guys. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they sure do manage to get the noise out there. This week for the docs has been a huge week. There has been 60 merged pull requests this week alone to the docs from 21 different authors, making over 60 commits to the main branch, and then another 60 to different branches all around the repo. In total, there was 82 different pages that got worked upon. 6,500 additions made to the repo. Seriously, guys, everybody who's made any contribution this week, thank you very much. You guys have literally went and killed it. Now, here we're just going to be taking a quick look over some. I just screenshotted like the PRs that were merged over this week alone, right? I had to break it up into 5 columns as well. Now, the work that was done this week by the Docs team, again, another level. You guys really did up your game, and it's absolutely amazing to see. So honestly, guys, for those who are coming onto Astro, who are looking into Astro, who are just checking out Astro, a lot of what they are seeing, a lot of the introductions that is made to Astro is done by you guys. Legitimately, thank you very much. I know it helps Sarah tremendously with the amount of, involvement that she's been given as well by you guys. So thank you very much. It's great to see you guys and the camaraderie that you're making there. This is what makes the Astro Docs project one of the open source success stories of the year, in my opinion. So by all means, guys, keep it up or go slow, or tone it down a tiny bit so that way Sarah could catch her breath a tiny, a wee bit. But nonetheless, you've actually crushed it. The international team, right, it comprises of the German gang, the French, the Spanish, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Brazilians. These guys are so energetic, so cool, so vibrant. Honestly, it's so much fun as well. You bring such awesome richness and diversity to the community. Really, thank you for the work that you've done, especially this last week, guys. Right? This last week we kind of had a run-in of the World Cup final. Right? It was intense. It was insane. It was crazy. So, just to let you know, France versus Brazil is a World Cup final spectacular. Every time these two teams play, it is a fantastic game to watch, guys. Legit. There was a bit of a competition started. I've been challenged to have more pages right by Sarah than the actual Brazilian translation team. So be ready for the French invasion, right, inside the PRs. And in the French corner, we truly enjoy his company here in Astro. He definitely brings that, certain je ne sais quoi to the conversation. So just a snapshot really of what he was at. Also to give a shout out, it's all well and good these PRs are getting made. It's just that somebody needs to have the ability to review them. Naomi, the author of the Yellow Hackathon submission, she came in to help review, and not only that, he was putting out so much work that Sarah actually had to recruit Joe as well. Joe, if you don't know, is the second Rasenberger, and these the two of them together is a phenomenal force. And to Joe, I say thank you, dude. Thank you very much for your assist this week. It was great. Um, so yeah, merci beaucoup, très bien, and fantastique, and that's about as much French as I know. Actually, in saying that, I know a couple of bits more, but I wouldn't be saying that live on air. And then in the blue corner, we have from the beaches of Brazil, Jan, the sidebar Thomas. Actually owned the sidebar issue on the docks. That's why he's now known as Jan, the sidebar Thomas. And just to go over some of the work that Jan has been doing as well, it's been crazy, right? And a big shout out to Victor in the Brazil Portuguese department, where he basically got to grips and just reviewed the utter yan out of yan. Absolutely appreciate it, dude. Just like with Naomi, just jump into the international channel and just say thank you to the reviewers. And if you do speak a native language, any of the ones that we're currently translating for, we love to have your support. So not only was Chris and Jan, throwing out PRs left, right, centre, insane, but there was a wee point in the story, right, where a spy emerged. He was in there to try and see what the competition was doing, to try and find out how far along they were. I want to show the actual GitHub issue, right, and the table of documentation and what's actually been translated. If you take a look at this, this was set up 25 days ago, right, by Chris and Hippo himself to get this process automated to keep us up to date with what was happening in terms of what's been translated and what hasn't. But straight down these columns, right the way down, we've got a solid backbone of green. And I just wanted to highlight that there for you guys. All the different types of pages that have been translated fully and reviewed and been accepted and is now live on Astro Docs. So your work is making an impact, guys. So thank you very much for that. You guys kick ass. Next up, in terms of speaking to and communicating with the community more so. This all began with this week's RFC call, right? To try and it was all about how to move the community and the core team closer to each other. Not only just discussing RFCs that are coming down the line, feature requests that are being discussed in the actual RFCs channel, because that is still a thing, guys. RFCs is still going to be a thing. It's just that the implementation has changed somewhat. And we're looking to actually integrate more focus on the community into these calls. And we realized, you know what, we could do with an opportunity of rebranding it. And so we're calling it community calls for the time being. I can't quite stress this enough how much the core team cares and gets fueled by the community. So from Fred himself, this is open to everyone in the community, not just, support squad and maintainers and core, but absolutely everyone. We want to get as many people in. I want to hear as many of you as possible. My ear is always open to you. You could always raise me. You could always directly message me. You took the time and you're investing with us, and we want to invest with you. Now we're coming on to the support heroes of the week. Trust me, some of these problems are not easy. And it's great to see the amount of people that we got standing on the sidelines with, with those big inflatable dinghies ready to throw in the guide rope into the water just to, just to bring them back in. I like to basically focus your attention on these three actual stand-up legends. First, such an active participant within the squad, the squaddies themselves. It's fantastic to see him, and he comes in and he's got the tact, like he's got a touch, and we really appreciate that, dude. Then we've got Muhymin, Rafid. For those who've not had the opportunity to have met him, I would say you have not raised a support thread. He knows about your issue before you even know about your issue. And to the right of him is Okikio. Back from his studies, he's done an amazing job, right, with his exams, and we wish him the best of luck with the results. Okikio is back in, and he was helping absolutely everyone out. Actual heroes. Thank you very much, guys. To the support squad, this is how I feel. Now, there is one hero that just outshines absolutely everybody, and it's Jan's wee sister. He would have had difficulty to get his PRs up, he would have lost the race. It's all butterfly effect, and it really does take a hero just to step in, and often it involves the smallest things, because that's what heroes do. They don't need to do too much. Thank you very much, Jan's sister. We really do appreciate it. Honorary astronaut, by the way, Jan. There was 39 amazing projects that were submitted. Again, across three key categories, right? 16 of them were into the themes category alone. 11 demos that were produced for the SS using the SSR, and this only came out in April. They had less than a month to really play with this new cutting edge bit of kit that came out with Astro, and it was fantastic what was shown. Actually amazing. And the integrations, every single one of them is going to profoundly change Astro. Each and every single one of them is so powerful and so valuable. It is amazing, and it is so difficult to pick one. And what we did here at Astro, right, was myself and another amazing astronaut that we know in the community is known as Chris, right? Um, Came together and put the Astro Hackathon Showcase together. Now, this site is still live. We're looking to kind of immortalize the work that you guys have done. I would also make a call to action to every other astronaut who listens to me, right, to get involved in some of these projects. This is the open source. Astro is a platform for you guys to really build your own careers off. That's something that we would like to really make happen. And with the open source, it all works by each one of us contributing in a small way to everyone else's project, whether that be directly helping, friendship and guidance to the authors themselves, or even making PRs or raising issues and just giving them feedback, or fundamentally using their project because they've spent so much time hoping somebody else would. And if it's just one person that uses their project, then that is it. That's all they want. And if that one person could give them a star or a like on GitHub, and if everyone went around GitHub actually liking the projects that they use, the amount of good that you would do, especially in the open source community, would be huge. Would be huge. So best of luck. To those authors who submitted it, the work is done, the projects are in. Don't think about it now, guys. So again, best of luck to you guys. There is $15,000 worth of prizes to be split equally in amongst all three categories. It was amazing speaking to all of you guys as well. I learned so much. Thank you for taking the time. For those who want to still get in touch with me, right? Who those authors who still have, who never got in touch with me, by all means, just get in touch with me. Just hit me a DM. Just I'll be happy to chat to you about your project. Now we're on to the streams. First up this week, right, we had Ben. Ben's back on doing his weekly Twitch stream, right? And he was just showing us how to go about building projects using Astro's static side rendering. Hats off to you, Ben, for doing a fantastic stream this week. A shout out for you all to put into your calendar. We're going to be breaking down the web with Ben and Dan. He's such a great guy. He really does care about the people and the users of Astro and trying to get information and disseminate that the best way out there. They're going to be doing this on Twitch live, and we'll probably be streaming this in the Discord community as well for you, right? And this will be a really interesting conversation because Dan's already done two of these conversations with the titan that is Ryan at Solid. He has sat there for about 6 hours in total with this guy, and he's explained, hydration, reactivity, he did something really amazing in those 6 hours. He got Ryan to actually take a step back and explain it from a different narrative to the one that he normally does. The real success of those two streams that he did was that he managed to bring Ryan down a gear or two, and it really did help. And that's all. Enjoy your weekend and have a great week ahead of you. From everyone here at Astro, wish you peace and love. Peace and love.